What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude. And today, before we get into Joel Embiid's dominant, amazing two-way performance against the Utah Jazz the other night, it was absolutely incredible to watch. I want to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy, the best and newest place to play fantasy sports and win big prizes. Now, any given night, they are offering your favorite NBA player stats, points, rebounds, and assists. You can choose higher or lower on them, and you can win up to 20 times your money on any given night. If you've been doing it with Joel Embiid recently, you're going to be taking home a lot of money because he has been smashing on that higher recently. And I would imagine that will continue until James Harden gets back. So if you want a $100 deposit match bonus, use the promo code SLOP. That's my promo code, SLOP. Or use the link in the description. You can get $100 in deposit match bonus when you sign up today. And if Pick'em isn't your thing, they also offer nightly draft contests. We've been doing them for You Know Ball listeners only. I tweet out the link the morning or afternoon of. We do a 6-player classic snake draft, and whoever scores the most points at the end of the night takes home all of the money. They've been a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do them throughout the NBA season. I'm doing them every week. So please follow me on Twitter. Be sure to sign up for Underdog. Use the promo code SLOP. Get a $100 deposit match bonus. We can do the pick'em. We can do fantasy drafts against each other. It's going to be a lot of fun throughout this NBA season. Thanks. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Troll Bro Dude. We're not even going to wait for people to get in here because I need to talk about Joel Embiid's game from last night. And I just want to give the people, before I introduce Sam, some perspective of where my head was at Saturday before the Hawks game. So if you watched the Hawks Thursday night game that we did the stream on playback, you'll know I was in a very bad space mentally. I was basically talking about blowing the team up. I was kind of spiraling live on the air. I broke my laptop in the middle of the stream and it is now in the shop being repaired. And I was not doing well mentally. There was a picture of me where I was draped over. It was bad. Saturday comes around. I'm literally in group DMs. I'm texting people. I'm like, I think we should trade Joel Embiid. And this is not anything against Embiid. I hold
no,
nothing.
It's against Embiid. You hate him.
It is.
You hate him. You personally hate him, like all Philly sports fans. You guys hate him.
I'm just saying this right now because I don't want him to unfollow me on Twitter. Really. So
does he follow you on Twitter? Yeah. Nice. All right.
That's why if I ever have a complaint about him, I just tweet it in my Twitter circle. I'll just be like, what fucking lazy ass pass that was. Oh, by the way, I need to put this to the 150 people so Joel doesn't unfollow me like a coward.
Yeah. But by the way, I maybe not anymore, but I know for a fact, like 3 years ago, like the Celtics comms team was like aware of me, and
oh yeah,
it's like no, you can't.
Yeah.
It's a communist. You can't. No, you don't. Do not engage.
Yeah, no, it's that. Yeah, I know the Sixers comm team is aware of me as well, but it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean. Yeah. Might not know of me for the best reasons, but yeah. So Saturday, I am fully having a mental breakdown, saying we should trade Embiid. It's over. I have been watching the other teams like your Celtics, the Bucks, the Cavaliers to start the season amazingly, looking like another team has leaped the Sixers. We just lost to the Hawks, and that brought, I think it was like the PTSD from losing to the Hawks in such embarrassing fashion on Thursday night that really brought out this super dark side of me as a Sixers fan, and I was ready to blow it up. Then Saturday night comes around, and Embiid has a very, very good game. For his standards, even a very good game. And they barely hold on against the Hawks once again. And then last night, he has the best game that I've ever seen from any Sixer in my entire life. Like, I was pretty much saying this as last year when he had a game where I was like, that was the best game I've ever seen. That, from a two-way perspective, blew any Sixers performance I've ever seen out of the water. That was one of the best two-way performances that I have seen in the last 5 to 10 years in the NBA, just dominating every single possession down the stretch, offensively, defensively, looking like he was going to die at one point. Like, he was holding on for life because he's clearly still not even in shape. Mm-hmm. And he had the best game of his career by far, one of probably the best performance in the NBA to start the season, and one of the best performances of the last 5 to 10 years. Just an incredible effort, almost a 60-point quadruple double. Like, it's mind-blowing how insanely good he was. So I'm back, folks. I'm back on my bullshit. I'm back on board.
Trill is no more. He's been banished that deep into the recesses of your mind palace.
That was like it was like I went to the Amazon, I did some ayahuasca, just cleansed my soul. Watching that game last night, I was just like in paralysis, sitting there.
It was in a way a return to nature. You know, this was a return to the Sixers homeostasis, that the habitat that all Sixers fans are comfortable with. Watching Joel Embiid backpack on such a level that they might as well just not have two of the guys out there. Like,
yeah.
How's the PJ Tucker experience going, by the way? You guys feel good about that, or?
I don't want to say anything on the record because I am aware that I might go to prison if that happens.
Okay, but you guys did ruin the Heat. That's at least worth it.
Yeah, that there's at least
a little upside there.
Especially because if PJ stayed in Miami, I know he would be good this year. Like, that's just how it works. Right. He leaves Miami and he's washed again. But he stays in Miami. He gets that maybe a little HGH injected directly into his knee. That regrows, and but it's you're not exaggerating, by the way. I believe PJ Tucker scored 0 points last night.
He did. No, he did. Yes, absolutely. And I love having, like, being in, like, the Sixers spheres, because I can just know how the game is going when I see Twitter circles, like the little green ones that no one else can see but people that are in your circle, and there's just ones being like, PJ Tucker should blank. is how I know he's, like, having a good game. And I'm like, ooh, I gotta check out that box score when I get a second just to see how it's going.
It's so funny because 2 years ago I called him, like, right before he got traded to the Bucks, everyone wanted the Sixers to trade for him, and I called him thick thigh ball as a joke. Right. And I did not mean to be disrespectful to Matisse Thybulle, who scored like 4 points last night.
Basically wilt at that point.
In comparison.
I was going to say, Matisse Thybulle and Joel Embiid combined for 63 points last night in their win over the Utah Jazz.
An amazing performance.
Yeah, those guys both scored. They both averaged 32, 5, 5, 5, 5. So,
someone, Jonathan just commented, PJ stands for probably jogging. That's all he does during the game. So the leading scorers from last night. You want to talk about this perspective? Let's talk about other than Embiid, because Embiid finishes the game with 59 points. We obviously know that. George Niang with a solid 5 points. DeAnthony Melton with a solid 6 points. Tobias Harris with a solid 8 points. Tyrese Maxey, my guy, with 18 points. So it was literally 59. He had 4 more shots than Joel Embiid.
Okay, well, that's less good. Mamba mentality, baby.
He had 39 less points. Like, basically, so part of me is, like, obviously thrilled, because nothing matters if Joel Embiid is not this kind of player. He's not averaging 59 points a game. No, but nothing matters if he isn't Joel Embiid, because the reason why I was freaking out in the first 2 weeks of the season were mainly due to Joel Embiid. And look, the offseason acquisitions have not been great. Other than Melton, I really think that they've been negatives. I don't think that any of them have been particularly good.
I will say, just to defend PJ Tucker real quick, though, here, like, he's not playing for anything right now. Like, it literally does not matter. He's just got to be healthy, like, for the playoffs.
He's also coming off-season knee surgery, which we didn't know about until we got to training camp, which does not make you feel good about a 36, 37-year-old doing that. But at the same time, he's not playing for anything. Last time that this happened, when he started this slow, was in Houston. And by the time the playoffs came around for Milwaukee, he was solid. I mean, offensively, he's always just going to be limited. You can't play him and Thibault at the same time. I know some of the on-off stuff, right? Now, people are like, look at how much, even with their offensive deficiencies, you have Thibault and you have Thibault and you have Tucker on the court with Embiid at the same time. And they're like a plus 20 in 100 possessions. And I'm like, because Joel Embiid literally just scored 60 fucking points. Like he was dominating no matter what the Jazz threw at him. He was able to, they basically, their entire defense was focused on him. So the offensive liabilities that were on the court, that's not going to be sustainable. You have to have some sort of juice offensively. But just from the reason why I was freaking out to start the season was because Joel defensively did not look right. Joel offensively was a mess. He was the worst player on the court in like 2 of our games, and that's just so unlike him. And I know that he's had shooting slumps and he starts slow and he plays his way into shape, just like a lot of guys do. But the big reason why I was freaking out was because, sorry, there's a fire truck going by. The real reason I was freaking out was because we learned about this foot injury, and I was like, okay, well, if that plus the thumb plus everything, like, have we seen the best of Joel Embiid was starting to creep into my mind.
Well, you didn't even mention the biggest thing, which is that he's playing for his coach's job, a coach that he deeply respects, clearly doesn't want to go anywhere. So I think that is really the genesis and seed of his game last night. He realized, wow, Doc is really on the hot seat. I've got to rise up for this man that I care about, that I want to go to war.
I muted his mic, by the way. Not on my podcast. Still on my podcast, okay? It's the only thing we're not allowed to talk about, okay?
I forgot about the rules. I'm sorry.
I will say, though, I'm not even, like, the last week was the first time that I heard Joel criticize something that Doc did. During the first Hawks game, he said he was pulled out due to foul trouble, and he was like, I don't know, I think I'm a good enough defender that I'm not going to foul out of a game. Like, I don't really do that often. Like, I didn't think I should have been pulled. But I do think, generally speaking, that Joel does like Doc and respects Doc. Like, I don't think he wanted to fire the last coach. Like, I don't think he wanted to fire Brett Brown. I just think that it kind of got to, like, well, where do we go from here? We just got swept in the first round of the playoffs. Like, there's really nothing else you can do except fire the coach and try something else. So I don't think that is, like, as much as I would like him to be like, get Doc out of here. Let's get someone who's a better X's and O's guy. Let's get someone who's had some more playoff success. Let's do all that. I do think that they're, like, deep down, he really does like Doc. No, I don't think that is the reason why he's performing at the level that he is. In fact, I've a part of me is like, just having witnessed that was like, it relieved all of my anxieties about what Joel Embiid can be as a player, where he can continue to grow, because it wasn't even the scoring, because I know he can score. I've seen him score over 50 points before. He scored 50 points in 27 minutes last year in a game. Like, he's had these amazing scoring games before. It was really the passing that I was like, this is what takes guys to the next level, where his passing has always been his worst part of his game. Get in his grill, double team him, all of that. I feel like ball don't stop right now. But the anytime that he plays against those kind of teams, he tends to struggle. And, like, you know, Utah isn't some amazing defensive team, but, like, they have good, smart defenders. He was basically picking them apart anytime that they were able to double him. He was on top of his game passing wise. And I think that is the thing that was the most encouraging coming out of last night. Obviously, like, I know the defense was going to eventually get back to the point where he was fine. I knew the scoring was, but, like, if the Sixers want to do anything, if they want to be contenders, Joel becoming a above average to good playmaker and passer is really the way that it can get them there. Because right now, like, we've seen as far as we can go with running our offense through the post when he's not that. And we've seen as far as we can go with that defensive drop system, even though he was incredible at it last night. Like, there are limitations to his game just due to the fact that he is a big, but, like, if he is that playmaker passer on that level, it can kind of break some of the traditional big mold that we think of when we think of a guy like Joel Embiid.
Yeah. I would say the thing that, because I, just as someone who's a little further away from the situation, I'm only watching the Sixers every once in a while. I was a little alarmed for him that first game, but I chalked it up to him being injured, because I think the biggest thing for me is just that he was not the same on defense. And it seems like that's gone away. Now, I mean, given this is the Utah Jazz we're talking about, also given it's the Fighting Utah Jazz, number 1, or I guess number 2 seed, first team to 10 wins, whatever they are. So are they good? Are they not? Who knows? We'll talk about that later in the show. But but I just think that that's the biggest thing for me, is because that is going to be Joel's role. It's good to see he still has the gear to take over the game, but
sure.
I'm mostly, if I were a Sixers fan, the thing I would be most excited to see is him becoming a truly dominant defender in a way that like really impacts the game, because I think that is what you're going to need from him to succeed in the playoffs once your team is fully formed and everyone is healthy again. Backpacking Joel, he's not going to be able to do that for 60 or somewhere between 16 and 28 games if you want to win the championship. He's going to obviously need other people to do that. And I think that that's the path forward for Harden being more involved in the team, for getting Maxey more involved and doing some of these other things, is him taking a step back, concentrating more of his energy on the defense, and to your point about the passing, facilitating a little bit of more, and kind of getting teams in rotation with the double team by being able to make an exit pass out of the double team when they, when you get it on your post ups or whatever the case may be. So, that is once they have a coach who can do that.
once they have a coach who is not Doc Rivers. Yeah,
exactly.
It is hard because it's very much like you love to see everything you saw out of him the last 2 games.
Right.
But there is a part of me that's like, God, we need him to backpack just to win these fucking games. Right. And it feels like as far as the Sixers have come, they're kind of still in the same place that they've always been. But James Harden is injured. And the one thing that you said, like defensively, in the games that Joel has played, which, by the way, he has not played in many games this year. So this is a small sample, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's played 352 minutes to start the year. Mm-hmm. In the games where he has played, the Sixers have a 105 defensive rating. That is incredibly good. Mm-hmm. In the minutes he sits, they have a 121 defensive rating. So that is something that they're going to need to figure out. They need to figure out how to survive without Joel. But if Joel is the version of Joel that we've seen recently, defensively specifically, which I would say out of the last 4 games, it's been the best four-game stretch that he's had on defense that I've seen in quite some time, then that changes where the Sixers can be in terms of the contender status in the Eastern Conference. But just from a two-way perspective, that this is the kind of thing, this is why it's so frustrating, because they go out and they remake the entire roster in the offseason with this idea. They get rid of some young guys that I really liked in Isaiah Joe and Charles Bassey, and some now they're both playing well, and we get fucking annoyed that we're like, why do we bring in these wash vets? But at the same time, the one thing that I keep thinking about is they remake the roster to be quote unquote deeper so that you can rest Joel. But now it feels like, with the Harden injury, we don't know what he's going to look like when he gets back. They need the rest of the team to really step it the fuck up so Joel can take these rest games. So Joel is not dead by the time you get around to the play. You see this every single year with Joel specifically, but with stars around the league, where by the time they get around to the playoffs, we're seeing Luka Doncic break down in the 3rd week of the season right now. He had 2 really bad games recently that were uncharacteristic of him. You saw it last year with your Celtics when you got to the finals. Guys are banged up. Guys are burnt out. Keeping your stars healthy for the playoffs, and unless you have a literal alien like Giannis who can tear his ACL and play 2 weeks later somehow in the finals, then your whole thing needs to be prioritizing keeping your guys healthy. And even on that night, I was pissed because I was tweeting and I was like, why is he even playing? Like, he just played 40 minutes last night. In 24 hours, he played so many fucking minutes that you get worried about burning guys out, especially when they have to carry the load offensively and defensively. So that's something that moving forward that they need to get better with.
Well, and another team we're going to talk about another team that has this problem too. But I think that we're really looking at, this is a very interesting year for that stuff because the league is so goddamn good right now. Like,
there are no breaks.
My Celtics are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. You think free game? Yeah, they just put 69 on the Celtics in one half. Like,
they scored 69 in the first half?
Yeah.
Nice.
So nice, yeah. But this is just like this is the new thing with the league. You know what I'm saying? Have you guys tried PJ Tucker at center yet, or is that just
those were the best. This is the PJ Tucker at center lineups.
Yeah.
Were once again my biggest frustration with Doc Rivers. My biggest frustration. And in fairness to him, James Harden getting injured makes those lineups not as workable because they aren't these like spaced out 5-out unstoppable offenses. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I got a DM from a buddy of mine who was sending me lineup data, and he was talking about those Tucker at the 5 lineups doing really well in the first few games. And then I was like, we won't see this for 3 weeks. We won't see this for 2 months. Yeah. And then we literally never saw it again after that. So it's just like never finding some sort of consistency on what you can do to survive without your best player. And that's on the coach. Like, he's just throwing shit at the wall constantly and never letting anything stick.
And that's just kind of having Doc Rivers and Trez. Like, you can't have that. You can't have that sort of Damocles looming in the playoffs for like the Sixers. Like, you guys are going to be up against the Nets, and he's going to have Trez out there. Like, for sure. You just need to be able to play. Well, especially because I feel like it would unlock guys like Thibault, you know what I'm saying, who can't play in a regular lineup, all of a sudden become viable once you have that extra spacing of PJ Tucker in the lineup while Joel is out. And that could really work. I mean, honestly, Matisse Thybulle's a pretty fucking devastating defender when you can just pop him at the nail and let him just fucking free safety. He's burned the Celtics in a couple of games like that. Like, so I don't know. I think you guys are in a better spot than it's just everything is going to be so matchup dependent. Like, I think the Sixers are probably going to want to avoid the Celtics as long as possible. I'm really interested to see how you guys match up with the Cavs. Have you guys played them yet?
We have not played them yet, but that's the one team that I said in the preseason. I was like, I said, all we have to do is avoid like the Celtics and the Warriors. And someone was like, oh, the best teams? You just have to avoid. Yeah. Now I feel like, just add the Cavs onto there. I don't love that matchup for the Sixers. I honestly think you guys have experienced it. I honestly think the Cavs are going to be a nightmare for whoever plays them in the first round, second round, wherever they do, which is why I think that race, I know you guys have a little bit of a lead right now. The Bucks aren't far behind, or maybe the Bucks are.
No, the Bucks are a little ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Bucks are a little ahead. I know that you two teams are a little bit above the pack right now.
Yeah. That 1 seed's important. I want no part of that team. I would love, because that's what fucked the Celtics last year. Like, you need to get that free win at the 4 seed. You know, that 4 seed might be the Hawks. Awesome. Let me have that. Absolutely.
Compared to whatever you could get in the second round, that's going to be extremely important. And I do think that the most important thing moving forward is obviously always keeping your stars healthy and ready for the most important games of the season. Exactly. It's hard to balance.
You're Rob in our case.
Yes. The linchpin of your defense.
Yeah. I was going to say, our thing is just Rob can't play. Al has to get his adrenochrome shots from South Beach when we do a deal with the thing. And then we also need to stop Marcus from like just shattering his ribs, diving for a loose ball in a fourth quarter that doesn't matter. So those are our 3 injuries we've got to stay away from.
I've talked about it, and it's so funny because the Sixers and the Celtics are just like so polar opposites when it comes to mental makeup. And it's like, because your guys' mental makeup is like, we can never turn we don't turn anything off. Like there is no off switch, and that can hurt you.
It really hurts you sometimes.
Yeah, that can hurt you when
doesn't turn it off in a hotel room and punches a fucking picture and gets glass in his. There's still glass in his hand. That really fucked him up really bad for like 3 years. It's crazy, but
a literal thing that happened.
Yeah.
And then the Sixers, on the other hand, are like, we're ready to turn it off any moment. We're ready to turn that switch off, and we will give up if any adversity faces us, we will turn it off. But I think that in the long run, I'm trying to not be a football reactionary guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying, but the first 3 weeks of the season really scared the fuck out of me, because it feels like kind of, where do you go from here? Like if you can't acquire someone else with a Tyrese Maxey or whatever you have left, then this is kind of what your team is. And that is what scared me. But the in-house improvements from Joel Embiid and James Harden and Tyrese Maxey is what's gonna fucking, sink or swim for this fucking team, basically. Like that's kind of what it comes down to. And for most teams, honestly.
Yeah. I just think you guys have had like a tough start, and I just think that, I think what you've done is you just removed like your top 25% of outcomes. Now you guys are going to need to get a little lucky with matchups, because I thought you guys were like really in play for the 1 seed, which I think really would have helped your chances of getting to the, especially if you could dodge, which might still be in play, maybe, you never know. Maybe the Bucks hit a skid, maybe knock on wood, somebody on the Celtics else gets hurt. I don't know. But like, if you could dodge Celtics and Bucks, and honestly, I think you guys would match up pretty well with the Bucks, to be honest. Like, I think you can do it. But
the Bucks are the one team that I can never figure out. I just don't understand how they could look like the greatest team of all time and the worst team I've ever seen in the span of like a week. And that is something that I think that is honestly part of having Giannis as your best player, where like they can look like the worst team of all time when he has like a bad game. But the thing is, they never feel like they're out of those games in a way, because Giannis can just like single-handedly dominate a game without doing anything positively as a scorer. So it can get really ugly at times. But I think that right now, I think coming into the season, I think I said I could see 6 teams winning the East. Right now, I could see 4, and I think obviously the Celtics and Bucks should still be the favorites, just due to kind of what we knew coming into the season and what we've seen so far. But I think the Cavs and Sixers are the only team that have the upside to be able to knock off them. And really what it comes down to is like, does Donovan Mitchell play the way that he has? Does Joel Embiid play the way that he has the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks? Like Joel joked and said, "Oh, well, the Philly season's over, so like this season starts now." And we're 3-1 since then. So like my hope is that they can end up in one of those top 3 seeds, and then we'll see what happens between Tatum, Giannis. I don't even know. With the Cavs are interesting because like I feel like Mitchell's their best player, but like what do we get from Mobley in a way? Like what does he look like in his first real playoff run? And then the Sixers are really just relying on Embiid.
I think a lot of their stars will be good. I do think they have some weak points that in a schemed playoff matchup will get put. Like Karis LeVert is going to be tough in a playoff series. Like I think that's kind of getting left alone a little bit, and I do think that'll get picked at a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, I genuinely don't know. Like if you told me the Hawks won the East because they got just like everything broke right for them, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. Like
I would include the Hawks over the teams that I had in the net. The Nets just don't seem like that's in the cards with the whole Kyrie thing, and
the Heat seem like they're done.
The Heat do not seem. The Heat are the one team that I really never want to count out, just because of rat mode that we always talk about.
Rat mode,
like
in the back pocket.
Can they make a trade where they just get another rat mode guy? Like, could they just get Jay Crowder for beans and then like be decent again? Like it's always possible with them. And like Jimmy is as much as it drives me insane and they drive me insane. Jimmy is capable of playing like a superstar in the playoffs for a 2-week stretch and really flipping their fortunes. But right now, I know that they were struggling with the Suns, who are down like 3 rotation players, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So,
and I just don't think they're not going to have the high seed they usually have, where they get to duck most of the good teams. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to have to play the Celtics or the Bucks in round 2, and I just
round 1 at this point,
maybe round 1 at this point. You know, you never know. So
I mean, look, it's
tough.
super early. The Wizards are in the top 5 right now. Like, I don't think that that's going to be sustainable unless the fraud Bradley Beal sits out the rest of the season and they continue to go. What are they 4-1 without him or something? I believe. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so good for the brand.
It is the Lakers. God damn, and it's just all their guys. You know, like, well, I guess KCP they like traded for like Monte Morris. They further divided into 2 more good players.
Rotation players. Yeah,
rotation players. Well, I think Monte Morris is good, but
he's good. Yeah.
What I forget the other guy's name. Will
Barton.
Yeah, a little shakier. Yeah. But
yeah. So right now the standings are the Bucks in the 1 seed, the Celtics in the 2 seed, the Hawks in the 3 seed, Cavs, Wizards, Sixers, Pacers, Raptors, Knicks, Heat are down there. Obviously, they're all within like 2 or 3 games that you can change at any moment. The Sixers jumped up like 4 spots yesterday. The thing that I do think with the Heat is like that first round matchup, like if you even get out of the play-in, like if they end up in that 7-8 seed, they're playing the Celtics or the Bucks in the first round, and I don't like them against anyone.
We're probably their best matchup. Like the Giannis would just smush them. Rat mode doesn't work on Giannis. He's too big and burly. It kind of works against us because I don't know. Jason Tatum has really. I don't know if he and the refs have buried the hatchet or something, but he's finally getting like calls and stuff like that, which is now why he's an MVP candidate. But it's absurd.
Oh, speaking of MVP, I wanted to bring that up because Joel obviously, I think just yesterday, this weekend's performance kind of put himself threw his hat into the ring, so to speak. I think the Sixers need to have a much better record for him to be in the consideration, but I imagine that they're going to get on that track now that he's healthy. So
yeah, he could definitely like finish number 2, I'd say. Like, yeah, for sure.
So do you think Tatum, right now I would say it's like Tatum, Giannis, and Luka are in the driver's seat.
Right, yeah. Tatum's in the driver's seat, and then you got Giannis and Luka. Yeah. No, I hear you absolutely.
What's the score of the Thunder? What's the score of the Thunder Celtics game?
Yeah, I was gonna. Chris had a really good joke on Twitter, where he was like, he said we had to get out ahead of the Luka slander and just start accusing everyone who would vote Luka MVP as racist. He said Sixers fans waited too long to play this card against Jokic and it cost them. We have to get out ahead of it. So, this is what we're Celtics fans, hear me. We need to do this.
Well, in fairness,
smart defensive player of the year, we can do this. We can. The agenda
in fairness to us, we don't have an entire media machine behind us. We're just the lowly
Keith Pompey, which is even better, a one-man media machine.
It's true, actually. Yeah. The most influential man in sports media, Keith Pompey.
Celtics have never done a 9/11 podcast. No Celtics media has ever done a 9/11 podcast.
It's true.
It's purely the power of Keith. So.
Although one of the greatest tweets of all time was Jay Crowder misses a 3. Bill Simmons, this is worse than 9/11.
Is that real? I always thought I was shocked.
No, it's a fake. It's not Bill Simmons who tweeted it. Someone else tweeted it. It was not Bill. Yeah,
exactly.
Bill would never ever make a joke like that. Absolutely not.
I don't know. Bill, old school Bill was a little spicy. Like 03 Bill might have been feeling his oats a little or something. Second Bush term Bill, like
he might compare
this one.
Yeah. I was going to say the Patriots losing in the Giants Super Bowl. I could see a 9/11 comparison there, especially because it was against a New York team. Yeah.
What was the sad day in America plus the rewatchables is the fun that not even putting the events aside, just the idea of you can't even just give a sad day in America. You just have to add plus the rewatchables. It kills me.
A very sad week for America. Plus the 2005 redraftables with Ryan Russillo. Just an absolute classic title.
Let's go. I love Bill.
It's so good.
Everyone accuses us of hating on Bill. The opposite.
No.
I don't know what I would do without Bill. People try to own me being like, Bill is so much better. It's like, yeah, I know. That's why he's beautiful. He's my beautiful boy. I don't hate Bill.
Why would we hate the guy who helps us go viral all the time? I would never go viral if it weren't for Bill Simmons.
No, absolutely. No, we get it. Don't worry. We know where we stand. We're suckling at the teat of Bill's greatness.
We're tuned in. We are tuned in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so by the way, shout out to JJ Redick, my guy. Apparently mentioned my tweet on his podcast today.
Nice.
So he mentioned it, but he didn't get the reference. So I put the picture of Doc Rivers looking at a clipboard. And then it just said, 21, can you do something for me? Which is a reference to the Drake and 21 Savage. Sure.
Yeah.
And he was just like, 20. First off, he didn't give me credit at all. He didn't say Trill Bro Dude. He didn't say whatever. He's like, I saw a tweet. And he was like, 21, can you go out there and do something? And I was like, all right, close enough. I'm sure Tommy, who's very plugged in and hip and friends with like Desus and Mero and stuff. Yeah. I'm sure he got the reference. So that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to our boy Tommy Alter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friend of the show.
To refrain now that I know that we're on JJ Redick's radar. I will silo those jokes for the time being. Don't listen to my previous podcast, the ATO podcast. We never made any jokes about any stories or anecdotes JJ Redick has told in the past. Or
no rideshare apps.
Any inaction he might have done. Anyway, moving along.
Anyway. Yeah, nothing related to like Sesta Fosta or anything like that.
Oh God!
Oh, shout out to
JJ Redick. Go on. Ball. Come on in.
We need to have him on.
We're fellow No Media.
Yeah. New media, baby. Yeah.
We're getting Draymond. We're getting you. We're getting Perk.
This is my cat Dewey for everyone who is wondering. I've been told that they need to see my cats more often. He just jumped up on my chair. So
nice job, Dewey.
Yeah, he's doing well. All right. Okay. So just a little catch up from the last time that we talked about the Sixers. Mm-hmm. You said their record would be 10-6. I believe you hit them with the
still in play. Still in play, I think. Right.
They're 3-2 right now since that. But with Embiid, they're 3-1. They lost the Knicks game without Embiid. So very much in play. I would say that your outlook was a lot more positive than my. Obviously, I was having a fucking mental breakdown last week about the team. Right. So
I do think I said that they would be 10-6. That's less likely. I think they have 6 losses right now, right? Or they have 7 losses.
They have 7 losses. Yeah. They're 7-7. Yeah.
I
thought you said they were going to be 10-6 over the course of the next 16 games.
Maybe I did. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say I said that. It'll make me sound smarter. Maybe
Let's go.
I'm right. Well, I say we're going to have to go look at that if I'm right. I'm demanding a TikTok clip if we get that one.
Yeah, I will allow that. Sixers.
I'm already licking my chops about my Warriors and Lakers TikToks from our preseason predictions.
Yes, same here. So actually, that's a good
excited.
One. Yeah. I got to go back and check on those. But
I did recently. We did pretty well. For at least looks like we did pretty well.
Except for the
besides forgetting about the Wizards.
Forgetting the Wizards exist.
Yeah.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves just being absolute garbage. Other than that,
it's so funny because I made such bones. Like the Rudy Gobert thing pissed me off with Marcus's Defensive Player of the Year, and I should have just stuck to my guns. Because he is dog shit. I'm sorry. Like, look at what Donovan Mitchell. What is the common denominator here? Donovan Mitchell goes to a new team and they are fucking amazing, and he's an MVP candidate. Rudy Gobert goes to a new team and immediately craters them.
It's amazing.
I know people want to blame Cat. No, sorry. Like, funny. I get he is a good individual defender. It does not matter when your teammates fucking hate you. They don't want to play defense for you because you fucking suck. Anyway.
So when your team is a Ponzi scheme built around all of Rudy Gobert's weaknesses, which are doing anything on offense. So you have 4 creators around him at all times, like the Utah Jazz did.
Poku down, by the way.
Poku down. Oh,
yeah.
Prayers up for our long boy.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Okay.
We were just talking about how he's finally an NBA player.
Yeah. I'm watching the Celtics get absolutely fucking toasted by Jeremiah Robinson Earl.
Oh, Villanova legend. People will love that. Yeah. Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Well, first off, Poku was starting at center tonight, which is incredible.
He looked great. The 5 out looks good for the Thunder. Like they're giving the Celtics the business in a way that just doesn't feel that like the refs are a little out of control, but like they themselves look pretty good. I might have to. Well, anyway, we're going to talk about the Thunder.
We're going to talk about the Thunder in a little bit, but I'm sure Dean on draft is somewhere doing a fucking victory lap because Poku's iron levels weren't, up to snuff.
I was going to say, and this is why he just twisted his ankle or whatever he did.
Did you see that he blamed Cade's injury on being vegan?
Show me the lie. Look at this. Okay, so Dr. Jordan Peterson switched to an all-meat diet, and his daughter put him in a Russian hospital where he almost died, and he survived because he was only eating meat. Cade plays a couple games in Detroit and collapses because he's vegan. Checkmate, soy boys. You've been compromised.
Maybe if he was eating a normal amount of animal protein, is what he said. For a 20-year-old man, a growing boy, Cade Cunningham.
God, I want to get Dean on the pod.
Yeah, we might need to get, because he definitely has no idea. He's one of those guys that is just so clueless to everything. Like he's not like he doesn't know who I am.
I quote tweet VAR a lot, but I think he would forget about that.
The
like his the mathematically solved dating post, his legendary post. If I like cooled that down for a little bit, I think we can get him on the pod. So maybe I think that's what we should.
Yeah, we need. Well, he said he wouldn't draft Poku because of his bone structure. So
it's so true. Some light eugenics before
doing race science for the draft.
Bone density. You always want to hear about bone density when you're talking about the NBA, don't you, folks? Never gone badly.
Talking about an 18-year-old from Lithuania or wherever he's from. Very normal, regular stuff. When you're scouting. That's what people are always looking for. Okay, so Joel
came down now. He just twisted his ankle.
Okay. Well, okay, good. You're talking to someone who watches the Sixers. Joel literally got injured 4 times in last night's game and still scored almost 60 points. So Joel Embiid Masterclass. I apologize to Joel. I would like to go on record. I'm not going to try to trade you anymore. I'm only trading you for your own benefit in the first place. I hate the Sixers. I need you. Every player who gets drafted by the Sixers gets worse except for you and Maxey, and I'm trying to protect you. All of our players just over time get slightly worse. We can't develop anyone. They go to other teams and they're great. So I'm looking out for you when I do that in a fit of rage. But you're amazing. You're great. The Sixers are back. I'm very excited. So I can actually look forward to have some positive things to say about them on the podcast because I have not had any positive things for 7 months to talk about them. But we're going to move on to our second topic here, which is the Golden State Warriors. Sam might feel a little bit vindicated.
It's my evil cackle. I'm just going to keep making noises while you do the intro.
So all off season, Sam was saying that the Golden State Warriors were not going to be the same, basically, that they were going to take a step back. The West was going to be better. The team was going to regress a little bit. Obviously had just played all the way through the finals. These guys are getting older. Some of their young players might not be ready for the moment. And so far, it looks like you've been vindicated. They blew a massive lead against the Sacramento Kings last night. They have looked pretty terrible every time that I've watched them, outside of Steph Curry, who continues to be incredible. And Andrew Wiggins has actually been pretty good this year as well. But the rest of the rotation has struggled. Jordan Poole has regressed majorly. James Wiseman is completely unplayable. Who could have saw that coming? Draymond is still fine, but Clay's not the same. So like, I guess you're not worried about the Warriors because you predicted this and also you want this to happen. But do you think this is it for them? Like, do you think that this is no, absolutely not.
No, I don't. Well, but this is just what I said. Like, I think this is the other side of the coin now. Like I don't think they will be fine in the playoffs, but it will be harder. You know what I'm saying? Like they will look more like the Celtics looked when they got to the finals because they will not have a free ride against the fraudulent Grizzlies in a Nuggets team that is collapsing in on itself. Like the West was extremely free last year. They had better rotation guys. Steph is still one of the 10 best players of all time. You can quibble about where he ends up. He is in the playoffs. If you have Steph, you can win any series. Let's just full stop. Like that.
Yeah, Hugo, who we've had on before, was saying yesterday, there's never been a team that did what the Warriors did last year, not going all in and still winning the title. Like that's how good Steph is. That they had 3 or 4 guys who weren't even in the rotation that they could afford to just not play, and they were young and potentially could be traded, and they just didn't even do it.
Were bad. It was
No,
they had to stop James Wiseman. Otherwise, the league would fold if they saw just the raw potential of one of the most hyped up backup big men
we've ever seen.
Yeah. What if JaVale McGee really impressed people before the draft workout with being good at talking to guys at dinner? What if that happened? It's okay. You don't need no LaMelo Ball or anything. It's fine.
Well, look. Would it be nice to have Tyrese Maxey? Yes. Mm-hmm. Would it be nice to have Tyrese Halliburton? It would be incredible. It would be amazing. But to my knowledge, they don't speak any other languages at all.
Exactly. This is true.
Which when you're evaluating a prospect,
it's look, it's Silicon Valley, and it's one thing we've learned recently. It's Silicon Valley knows best. They are our managers. We can trust them. They're good at everything. They've got it under control. They in no way get carried away by the moment and overplay their hand. That's literally never happened. No. Just by being in the right place at the right time and then thinking you're the reason that you're good and going too far and just absolutely fucking everything up, even though you've been dealt a perfect golden hand. That has literally never happened in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, anywhere in California. So
it's never happened. No one's ever just been like on a dare, said they were going to buy a massive company and then legally like manipulate the market and have to have the government step in and then try to ruin the company.
Right. Trill, real quick before I just forget, remind me after, because remember I have those early episodes where I use my alias Sam Bankman-Fried. For some reasons, I think we should delete those. So I'll talk to you about it after the pod. But just if Underdog could hold $10 billion for me, don't ask me where I got it. I need them to. We'll talk to the sponsors after the show and get them to figure out how they can hold some money for me. But anyway, we'll get there after the show.
Yeah. Our overlords at Underdog will do anything for us, of course.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you, Underdog. Promo code slot, by the way. Promo code slot. Okay, so back to our Warriors here.
Yes, our delightful Warriors.
Our delightful, beautiful boys.
So I wish I could revel in this more if I wasn't watching the Celtics get absolutely curb stomped by the fucking Thunder. They're down 11 with 2 minutes left in the third, so it's very sad.
This is really karma for your name right now in these Sam.
Really don't want to. I have to. No cowards though. I believe in the basketball gods. I believe in karma. So if I were to retreat from doing the bit we're going to do in a little bit, we would lose this game. But I have no doubt we'll win. Down 11 in the.
You got to stick to your guns. To your guns.
Anyway, Warriors. So I think that I just don't think that there's a way. I don't think they're gonna win the fight. I think they could win the finals again. I don't think they will be favorites. I do not think that there's other stuff, but I absolutely think they could still win. Like it's still mostly a pretty good team. You know what I'm saying? And I do think Moody will probably come along. Less sure on Kuminga and Wiseman, but
for this year, I definitely am not. I'm out on Kuminga. I've never been a Kuminga guy, but I'm out on him contributing in any capacity this year.
Yeah, and I just don't think and also they could still get some buyout. You know what I'm saying? Like they could still do that contender thing, and if they really feel like they're in bad shape, you could try to pick someone up, whoever gets bought out or whatever the case may be. I mean, you're going to be able to trade Wiseman. You know what I'm saying? You might will you be able to if the Jazz come back down to earth, can you get Lauri Markkanen for Wiseman? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so that
something like
that. I have some fake trades here that we're going to get to. Yeah. Mostly built around Kuminga and Wiseman, because I think that's what I don't think Wiseman has a ton of value league wide, just because we've seen a lot of.
I think that's an understatement.
Playing bad. He's looked terrible anytime he's been on an NBA court. To anyone that isn't Brian Windhorst, who chose him in a redraft over Tyrese Maxey, and I will never get over it. 6 months ago.
Windy definitely knows ball. He's definitely a guy who watches basketball. He's not just a little rumor mill mean girl who has a burn book for LeBron. He watches basketball. He knows ball.
100%. Not a gossip whore at all. No, absolutely.
By the way, shout out to Tim McMahon, who I will ignore that he came after my beautiful boy Tim Bontemps.
I love it.
Destroy everyone. I love that they're all mean to Bontemps. Actually, it's actually quite charming. But anyway.
On the low post when he said it's nice to talk with Zach Lowe, someone who knows ball, and not Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhorst.
Yeah,
we love it. It's a great shot.
Yeah, shout out McMahon.
Just in his southern drawl.
Although shout out to Bontemps, who defended the Celtics honor against the horrid little Miami Heat Raptors propagandist Zach Lowe. So
I'm
shout out to Bontemps. Bontemps.
Makes me hate him a little bit more, just a little bit more. But he was defending him against the Heat and the Raptors, which to be fair, definitely lesser of two evils in my mind. But I think you're right that my thing has been, I think they're going to get bailed out. I think there's going to be a team out there that's a rebuilding team that's we don't have use for this player or these players right now for what our timeline is. And we can get a prospect like Kuminga and we'll take on the Wiseman salary just to make the deal work. And we'll see if we can salvage anything. Sometimes guys go to different settings and they end up. Look at Bol right now. No one thought Bol was even an NBA player except for Parm. And now he's like a rotation guy. He's been very good for the men.
Parm undefeated.
Yeah. Look, I'm telling you, if Marvin Bagley has a breakout year, Parm needs to get hired by a fucking front office because he's never wrong.
Yeah.
So I have a few trades here that we're going to run through that I think could potentially bail them out. Some are my own trades that I came up with on my own. I don't think that Lauri Markkanen's going to be, and we'll talk about the Jazz in a little bit as well, but I don't think that Lauri Markkanen is going to become available in a trade this year. Because once again, the All-Star game is in Utah. They'll have an All-Star if Lauri Markkanen is, and that's big for a market like Utah. I think that having at least one guy, I think the wings aren't that good.
Well, especially because Markkanen checks some boxes they look for in Utah. Let's just say that. Yeah. Yeah.
The same mold as Andrei Karolinko, if you're
yes. And our beautiful Kelly Olynyk. Who I'm happy to see finally getting his flowers. He's been a really good NBA player for a while, and everyone just treats him like he's an afterthought, and he's just been good for a long time.
Yeah. He's good when he's not getting murdered on television by Joel Embiid. I agree.
By the way, Peyton Pritchard just saved the game with a giant deep three and then a steal and lay-in at the buzzer. So now it's a 7-point
disgusting
game fourth. Let's go.
Disgusting.
Celtics are shooting 8% from three, by the way, which is why this game is close. So it's 40% from three versus 8% from three. But anyway.
Well, then we're podcasting for the rest of the game because I need them to lose. I can't change what I'm doing right now. I need to catch up with you. Yeah. So let's
hear these trades.
This is my first trade.
Okay.
We have, for salary purposes, we're including Dante DiVincenzo, the Michael Jordan of Delaware, Jonathan Kuminga, and James Wiseman for Miles Turner.
Ooh. I like that one.
So, from the Pacers' perspective, Not yet, because
Okay.
I think that I still think Kuminga has league-wide value. I still think that teams are going to look at...
Oh, Kuminga. I thought you said Wiseman.
No, Wiseman, Kuminga, and Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay.
From the Pacers' perspective, Miles Turner is expiring, and they've been trying to trade him for fucking 7 years.
That's true. Yeah. If you think the ship has sailed on the Lakers thing, which seems to have been the case, this rumored Buddy Hield deal that's supposed to have happened for a while, it seems like the Lakers just don't want to push that button. It seems like they're kind of waiting for it to be the optics on the Kyrie thing to be a little bit better, and that seems to be what they're sniffing around. And so I don't know. That's interesting. I think that's a solid deal because I agree with you. I think Kuminga has more value, especially because you can talk yourself into him being like a wing and a guy who, like, with a little bit of time to develop, and getting some reps, like especially with Tyrese Halliburton, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that Steph Curry isn't any great shakes, but again, Steph Curry is a
34
shooter. Yeah,
and he's 34.
He's 34. Well, he's also just like a shooter. Halliburton is more of a point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like a raw, like creator. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes guys need to touch the ball to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like, so not everyone can be the 3-and-D like Mikal Bridges guy that is hot around the league. So I think that's viable. Like
the only thing that I think is that they really have to like Kuminga to do this deal because Dante DiVincenzo doesn't do anything for them.
Yes,
James Wiseman is just not too far gone. And look, they took a chance on Jalen Smith last year, but they only gave up Torrey Craig to get him. So that's the difference in between those trades. The other thing is Miles Turner's actually been really fucking good this year. Like, low key, like I saw someone do, a Pacers fan that I follow, did a stat comparison between him, DeAndre Ayton, Bam Adebayo, and Sabonis, and his stats were just as good, if not better, offensively. And we know defensively what he can bring to the table as a rim protector. He's apparently been better defending in space this year. He would be a really, really fantastic pickup for the Warriors. And I think that if they're super high on Kuminga and they're like, we have a shot at Victor Wembanyama, Miles Turner makes us better, for this year, we will be willing to maybe take a little bit of a step back to get a shot at Scoot or Wembanyama or whoever it is. And
well, it also seems like it's going to be easier to get in that number 2 tank spot. I think Houston's got one pretty locked up, but it seems like pretty much everyone else is in the mix. You know what I'm saying?
They want to compete. Like, Detroit isn't trying to lose. They just are.
Yeah. And I think that'll, I don't know.
They're 3-11, by the way. I didn't even realize how bad they were. Yeah.
But that's the thing is I've watched Celtics play them twice. They're not like bad. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like, that's the thing. Like, even, I'm talking about the Thunder, Celtics cut it to 5, by the way, but they're not bad at all. Like, I'm watching these Thunder were actually pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Good. Jazz
that's
are
what I'm
good.
saying.
Like,
if you're the Pacers, or if you're a team that's like, we want to get Wembanyama, there's like a team that's like, we just want to get Web, like, that's all we care about. Trade for James Wiseman. You will get Victor Wembanyama. James Wiseman, play him big minutes. He is the ticket to getting Victor Wembanyama. I'm telling you, he's been historically terrible for an on-off on the Warriors. And like, the Warriors are a team that can make a lot of guys work. There's only been like 2 players that have never worked there, and it's Kelly Oubre and James Wiseman. Like, I just think that if you are the Pacers, I think they would probably look to get a first-round pick here in addition to that, and I think the Warriors would say, no, we're giving you Kuminga. We're not doing all of that. I also think that, like, where does the Warriors' help really lie? Because I think that they might need kind of the replacement for the guys you brought up, who were Gary Payton and Otto Porter. Pre-podcast, when we had talked, you were like, the reason why they went in this direction was because they believed so much in themselves and their draft picks that they figured, we can let these guys walk and we can just replace them with either vet minimum guys or the rookies we're developing. And that's turned out to be a bad gamble, because Otto Porter and Gary Payton would really help these teams right now. Yeah. So maybe they're not looking for a Miles Turner type defensively to be that kind of a center type, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe they're looking for wings and wing/guard types that can do those kind of roles instead of Miles Turner. So I don't think that this deal would really work out, even though it's somewhat realistic.
Right. But that's the thing about that, though, why I like that deal, though, is because he can space the floor. And the problem with those wing guys is those guys are at a fucking premium. Everybody wants those guys. You know what I'm saying? I know Jay Crowder is like on the market right now, but like that's going to get resolved. Like Phoenix is playing like a long game there. I really think what we talked about last time, I think they're really just holding on to Ayton and Crowder for KD later in the season purposes. Like, so I keep an eye on that. But anyway, let's hear trade number 2. Let's see what.
Speaking of Jay Crowder, I have. So this could go one of two ways. I don't think they're going to trade Kuminga for Jay Crowder because I just think like Jay Crowder's a free agent after the season. He's been available for a while. I just don't really think that's the way it's going to go.
He doesn't like project as far forward as like Miles Turner would. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to keep being a good part of your team for 3 years. Like while you see Steph Curry off into the sunset, you know, like you need a guy who needs to be. If you're trading real shit, you need to like get a guy back like that who's going to be playing at a high level for at least 2, 3, 4 more years. You know, so.
And that's why I had originally I had Dante DiVincenzo and Kuminga for Jay Crowder, but I think that the Warriors would not give up Kuminga for someone like Crowder. Like I just don't really think it's like a long-term solution.
Right.
I do wonder if the Suns would be interested in Dante and Wiseman if they're thinking about moving on from Ayton for Crowder.
Right.
Like
if anyone could talk themselves into that, it's James Jones. Has there ever been a worse GM who's done a better job? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's just been playing above his head. Like he keeps saying alarming stuff, and then the team just keeps being fine. I think.
I said I remember getting into it, and like we talk on Twitter now. There's a Suns guy that I know, but like before he knew who I was, we got into an argument over this like a year and a half ago. And I remember being like, James Jones is a fraud. Like I was like, he doesn't do anything. My whole thing was like, what is his big move? Chris Paul wanted to get traded to play with Devin Booker. Like that's his big move. Like, yeah, he didn't give up a lot, but like the Thunder literally went to Chris Paul and said, where do you want to play? And he said, here. It's like, okay, Cam Johnson was a good pick. I agree. I like Cam Johnson in the draft. I'm not disagreeing with that. But like, those aren't like franchise changing moves. Like he's done a bunch of okay stuff. He had the structure in place when he got the job, and he's made some okay moves and some bad moves, including passing on Tyrese Halliburton for Jalen Smith when Tyrese Halliburton would be literally the perfect heir to the throne for Chris Paul in Phoenix. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think that maybe like invest in drafting guys when you're trying to compete and like extend your window and like make some splash trades instead of just like on the margin moves. Like I don't know. I think he's just a mediocre GM.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I just think overall, like, well, I just think he's like Monty Williams deserves the credit there. Like, I just think Monty Williams is an outstanding coach.
Oh, and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, like,
right.
Like,
exactly. Yeah. But I just mean like Monty Williams has made, like, it seems like he's just undoing James Jones blunder after James Jones blunder. And they just, they don't miss a beat, you know, like, so.
I don't think that either team would do this. And the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, the Suns windows now, like Dante DiVincenzo doesn't change their life. James Wiseman, I don't really think he has any sort of positive value. This would only be in the case that they're like, we're moving Ayton for someone better, and Wiseman can be our project to replace Ayton long term, because we don't value the center position at all.
Right.
They're literally like,
they've literally said that.
yeah, on record. They're like, we'll play Jock Landale and Bismack Biyombo. Like, we don't care about DeAndre Ayton. So I'm very much like, I don't think that, especially because they're rivals right now. And like, we've been talking about the Warriors. Like, I think the Warriors could win the West just because I think the West is bad still. Like, I thought it was going to be much better than it is. I really only see the Nuggets as like the only, like the Mavs just don't have enough. Like, they have Luka, but that's it. The Suns, like, Chris Paul's injured. We don't know what's going to happen with this Cam Johnson injury. They might not be able to trade for Kevin Durant in the season. Like the Lakers are they're out. They're trash. They're not even going to make the playoffs.
Clippers are normalizing a little bit.
But like what is happening with Kawhi? Like that's the reason why I don't think the Warriors and Suns would make a trade, because I think that the Warriors, Suns, and Nuggets are like the three teams that probably have the best chance to win. Like if Kawhi is not playing or if he's like limited, I'm throwing away my preseason pick. And like maybe the Pelicans or the Grizzlies, but like it's deep, but it's just like a bunch of mid right now. Like there's really only like the Nuggets and like the Grizzlies, I guess, other than which is why I would try to make a trade like this if I'm the Warriors, because I think that they have a real chance to win. And then you get to the finals, like who knows what fucking happens. You have Steph Curry. But yeah. So, okay. So next trade I have here is, this is a depressing one if you're a Warriors fan, but they know, they watch James Wiseman. They know he has no trade value. They know that he's not good. So James Wiseman for Josh Richardson, or James Wiseman and JaMychal Green for Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott one's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say the Doug McDermott one, you have my attention, like I feel like the Warriors could get something out of it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Steve Kerr could figure that. Like he's a limited player. Like he does two things well. But I think you could make it work. You know, like I think there is a path to making that one work. And that's interesting. And I think that's what you got to do. You just got to cut bait. I'm sorry. Like Wiseman, I'm sorry if you believed the Warriors, like their management's lies like this whole time. But like, I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for you. The writing was on the wall this whole time. If you Bob Myers trick y'all, like there's no like that was happening the whole time. So
hey, if you follow the TikTok, Bill Simmons had an argument before the draft on why they should draft Tyrese Halliburton number 2, and it was better than any argument. I was like, he was basically like, look, maybe drafted him at number 2 is a little high, but we know he can play with them right now, and he's the perfect bridge player for playing. He can play from the jump. He can be a role player, and long term he could be even better. And I'm like, absolutely nailed it. Like if I know that we've beaten this to death, but like if you draft pretty much anyone but Wiseman there, it's either like or Isaac Okoro. Those were like the two guys that went in that top of that. Even if you drafted Patrick Williams, like I think if Patrick Williams went to a better development situation than Chicago, like you might be able to get something more out of him. Like I just. The Wiseman pick was just such a bad pick on so many levels that it really feels like we're now talking about like trading him for like 7th men, but like that's what his value is. Like it's going to be very similar to that Jalen Smith trade last year where they only got Torrey Craig back for him. Mm-hmm. And maybe if you're including some other stuff, you can get back something more like remotely more positive, but you're not even getting a starting level player for James Wiseman. Like you just need to realize that that's what the reality of his trade value is. Like he's not even in your rotation right now.
So maybe this is the point why I think this is moot and defeats the point. I don't think the Warriors management has this in them.
Yes.
Like honestly, like I'm not doing a bit. Like I really don't think they have, because equipping this team to play right now, the only real value you have is the guys you've drafted. And I just don't think that means admitting you've made a mistake. And I just do not think they have that in them. Lacob especially. And it kind of sounds like Bob Myers. I think Bob Myers is gotten away with some stuff as a GM. You know, I think he's just gotten lucky in a couple, specifically 2 picks, and it's made his career for him. But it sounds like Joe Lacob was driving the bus on that Wiseman thing. So
1 pick, by the way, he didn't draft Steph Curry. Remember that.
Oh, really?
He drafted Draymond. He drafted Draymond, and he didn't even draft Clay. He was Draymond. He got hired in 2012. He drafted Draymond and then had a bunch of bad picks. And then he drafted, he had Harrison Barnes, who was a solid pick. He was like the 7th pick or whatever. But Harrison Barnes doesn't matter unless you have Steph Curry. Like that's just
what I'm saying. I just think I guess hiring Steve Kerr, I guess would be the other thing he did. Correct.
It looked like Jordan Poole was going to be the next like the next hit that they had, the first time that they've had a hit late in the draft in a while. And I mean, I don't know.
guess
maybe
Kevon Looney is solid.
Yeah,
too.
solid.
At
Yeah.
30,
But once again, these
good,
players don't matter unless you have Steph Curry, and he did not draft Steph Curry. So
eat shit, Sam Presti.
The best move that he has made the one recently is the Wiggins trade. That was the real home run. That was very good.
I feel like everyone could see, though. I mean, when your options were trading D'Lo, like when you look at that, was anyone really like, this is going to be a bad trade for the Warriors when you're getting off D'Lo? Like, I feel like
everyone thought it was good.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's more just Minnesota being boneheaded. But just back to my point, I just don't think this is what is going to happen. I just don't think that this is – I don't think that they will trade the young guys. They might trade more picks, which might hurt them more in the long run, because that means admitting sunk cost, moving on from your guys, and – things have been so good for this management team for so long. They are so convinced they're geniuses and they're brain for something they mostly didn't do. I don't know. I don't buy it. I do not think they're going to cut bait on Kuminga and Wiseman. Like, it sounds insane, but I really don't think they're going to do that unless it's like a no-brainer thing. Like they get Kevin Durant back or something like that. Like
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if they just decided we're going to ride this out. We're going to, we'll reset and we'll figure it out in the offseason. But right now, I have a few trades that I actually think that they might consider. One is a bit that I did just for the bit, which is Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman for Gary Trent Jr. So Masai can create the longest team in NBA history. I don't think they would ever.
Kuminga, I mean, if Kuminga went to the Raptors, I would kill myself on I would unalive myself on, because I know he would be good. Like, I know that is like one of like two spots. The Heat and the Raptors, the two spots he would go to and immediately be good, and I would unalive myself on the pod.
Ooh, what about Kuminga and Wiseman for Duncan Robinson?
I thought, okay, so interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder. I mean, I think you would need to get a pick back from the Heat or something like that. But I think
take on the Wiseman.
That work. But then you could spin that pick into something else, So I think that's something. The other thing is, I thought when you said "ooh," I thought when I said that I was going to unalive myself, I thought you were going to say we can put that on the slop stream for the Hogs. So watch Sam unalive himself. This is the content. It's like Perfect Blue or one of those things about like show business, like where I'm just a young debutante, and this is the ultimate spectacle of becoming the Black Swan in real time.
Watch Sam kill himself live on air because the Raptors traded for Jonathan Kuminga.
Is he overreacting? Who knows?
Who they literally just passed on in the draft like a year ago, by the way. That's the one thing where I'm like, if they really love Kuminga that much, they would have just taken him over Scotty Barnes.
I mean, it is hard to argue, though, but they might have just liked Scotty Barnes more, and
True.
They seem to have been right. You know what I'm saying? I feel I can't really hold that against them that much, but that's interesting though. That Duncan Robinson one, I think they think about it. Same thing as with Doug McDermott. Like, he's a limited guy, but like, they hook him up to the juvenation machine they got there, and who knows,
I mean, Duncan Robinson in the Warrior system would be pretty fantastic if he can actually start making his threes again. But I also just they really don't acquire shooters like that. Like, their shooters are guys that can do other things. Like Otto Porter Jr. can like defend capably, pass, rebound. Like, they don't really just like they don't require the Buddy Hields or the Duncan Robinsons. Like they want guys who can do a lot of things.
Yeah, you usually need to be able to like attack a dribble close, like attack a closeout or something like that. So
yeah. So so this one is actually kind of realistic, which is my last trade idea I had here. Mm-hmm. I actually think it makes perfect sense for both teams. This is my best one. Jonathan Kuminga straight up for PJ Washington, and here's why.
Ooh. Okay.
Because the Hornets need something. They don't want to pay PJ Washington, apparently. They need to take some sort of upside swing on prospects. Mm-hmm. They want to be worse now because they want to get LaMelo, Wemby. Like, Gordon Hayward's cooked. They're running out Kelly Oubre and Terry Rozier, like Hooper Central down there. Like, this kind of trade at least gives you an upside swing on a talent like Kuminga And PJ Washington can help the Warriors in a lot of ways. I think he can fit very nicely into that Otto Porter role that they desperately are missing. And then, like, you don't even have to start. He can be like a bench guy, but like play real minutes. Like, I kind of love that trade for both sides. That was the one I came up with. And their salaries are almost identical too.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
It resets the cycle for the Hornets. They get an upside swing prospect, and then they don't have to pay PJ Washington, which I think PJ Washington's good. I would just pay him, but they don't seem to want to. So,
yeah, no, and also they just need more there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, why not swing? And you can get yourself more in the Wembanyama sweepstakes, like you said. Like,
sure,
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that one makes a lot of sense. That's definitely my best one for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so
here's a couple I had.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know you had some. So let's.
So it's hard to make the money work, but I wonder if they'll be in the mix for Eric Gordon.
Oh yeah.
You need to have Kuminga. I think like you need to package a few guys together. It's a little hard to get because he makes almost $20 million, so it's like hard to get to that money.
That's the hard thing with Eric Gordon trades.
Yeah. It's hard to get up there. So that was one, and then the other one I had that I thought was realistic, but you'd really need to trust your coaching staff to kind of remake this guy. But I think he has the talent and like to be a good Warrior. Terrence Ross on the Magic.
No,
I just hold on.
No.
It wouldn't be a Kuminga trade.
We will not let Magic Vagberg win. They don't need another center in Orlando. Terrence Ross is terrible. Please, let's stop.
He's not a center.
No, I'm saying James Wiseman is a center. They don't need another center because they have Mo Bamba and Bobo and
Wiseman. This is about
they pay a salary this year and next year just to get like an extra pick or something. Let's see. Hold on, Terrence Ross. All right, maybe Terrence Ross is playing better this year, but I've always been okay. He is playing better this year.
Yeah, I'm just saying. He's also one of these guys who's always killed the Celtics like quite badly. So maybe
yes, your perception is off. You're the person that I always make fun of when it comes to Terrence Ross because Terrence Ross kills teams, but he's actually not good at all. Like he's just really athletic and sometimes has random games where he scores like 30 points, and you're like, holy shit, he's actually pretty good. But I'm telling you, ask Vagberg, watch Magic games.
Well, okay, but here's the thing, though: is they have a player like that, and they've just paid him $30 million. So, what's the difference?
All right, so you get Terrence Ross to mentor Jordan Poole.
Well, or the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the solution here. Maybe you swap out Jonathan Isaac and Wiseman and Poole for Jonathan Isaac and Terrence Ross.
You're ridiculous.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Like, maybe hold on. Hear me out.
Does Jonathan Isaac play basketball anymore?
He would love. Let's just say there were some people in Silicon Valley who would love to have Jonathan Isaac on standby. Peter Thiel would subsidize that trip. I'm just saying. Could run him for city council on a platform of liquidating the unhoused, like Thiel would want. But I forgot that one for the sponsors. I don't know how they feel about going to war against Peter Thiel.
Any jokes about Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are purely satire.
This is satire, jokes. We respect them. Thank you, Mr. Musk. Thank you, Mr. Thiel, for Palantir making us safe. It's not at all loser shit that you named it after a Lord of the Rings thing.
Please don't ban me from Twitter, Mr. Musk. Okay, so I have to break some unfortunate news to you, Sam. We're going to have to hold that discussion for the next podcast.
Okay, sounds good.
We're going to next podcast, we're going to do tanking versus competitive tanking, quote unquote, to competitive rebuild, I guess you should say.
By the way, the reason the Celtics came back is because I said I wasn't scared, and the Celtics are now up in this game. So
disgusting.
Eat shit, Sam Presti, you hard fraud, unless the Thunder win, and you put this pot up, and I look like a shithead because the game's not over yet. But
let's go, SGA. Come on.
I'm extremely confident that the Celtics win this game against the hateful Oklahoma City Thunder and their Rat King, Sam Presti.
People are going to be so confused. They're like, the whole podcast, I was waiting to hear this tanking argument.
Yeah, and guess what?
Guess what?
We can't get through a podcast in a normal amount of time.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. We're good at milking it. I swear to God, we really don't mean to. Like, I was thinking, like, well, this is a little light on our agenda. I wonder if we can fill time.
Nope,
No,
never.
no.
We literally have one topic and we're like, shit, we're 50 minutes in. Fuck.
Fuck. God damn it.
Too many sidebars about Peter Thiel again. God damn it.
Well, what are you going to do?
We respect our overlords at Underdog and also Peter Thiel. All right, promo code slot. Okay, so okay, we have 3 fan submitted ones from the Discord that I need to get out here.
All right.
Your boy Kelly Olynyk going to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jonathan. Oh no, not Jonathan Kuminga. James Wiseman and Patrick Baldwin.
I think Olynyk has more trade value than that. I think you would need to legitimately add a pick. Like, he's shooting like 57% from 3. I'm not even doing a bit. Like, he's a good player. He really is not. He's not a liability. I watched him for like 4 years. I watched the Heat kind of squandered him because that was when their team was like really bad.
Yeah.
And he's kind of been bouncing around since then. He's a really good player. Like, I wanted him so badly because I knew the Celtics needed a backup like center, like, and they just didn't go get him, and which is fine. We got Malcolm Brogdon. It's fine. Let's go. Marcus Smart just hit a dagger 3. Let's go.
Enough of the Celtics. Enough of the Celtics.
We're leaving the Celtics out of it.
So I don't disagree with you, but I also think that if the Warriors are to make a trade for Kelly Olynyk, I think that it would have to be like nothing. Like I don't think that they're not going to value Kelly Olynyk for like 2 guys that they drafted in the first round. Like, that's just kind of how their brain works. Well, although I think this trade would make them much better. I think both of these prospects are not good, but
yeah. Well, and I just think Kelly Olynyk is good. I would consider putting like this year. They have this year's first. I think they do, right?
They do. Yeah, they have their first this year.
This year's first thing. Who fucking cares? That's not going to be a good play. Like, pick. Like,
could you imagine?
Yeah.
Hey, you know those prospects that we were hyping up for all those years? No. We threw in an extra first and we got Kelly Olynyk. Warriors fans would kill themselves. It would make them better, but they would kill themselves.
But they're wrong. I'm telling you. I'm sorry. Your players are dog shit. This is what the thing is. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to be good, you have Moses Moody might be good. Honestly, Kuminga might be good later, way later. Like
when Steph Curry is dead of old age.
If you want to be good right now, I'm sorry. If you don't do anything, you're gonna get fucking slapped in the face. Like, in the first, you could lose in the first round. Same thing I said about Steph. They could win the title. You could also lose in the first round if you keep this team. I think that is absolutely in play. Like, I don't know. I don't like poo-pooing that because I think Kelly Olynyk would really fit with them. He does a lot of good stuff for them. So, like, he dribbles, he shoots threes. He's a big guy, which they need. He understands positional defense. I don't know.
Once again, I think it would make them better. I just don't think that they would ever do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're frauds. They're evil.
So we have the another Warrior Spurs from Bud Christmas Can from the Discord. Jakob Poeltl and Zach Collins for James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, and their first in 2026.
Feels like kind of a lot on the Warriors side now. I mean, Jakob Poeltl's really good.
I was going to say, you just said you would do that almost exact trade, although you didn't.
Well, but Jakob Poeltl is a worse fit because that now the Warriors are like, Jakob Poeltl is not as good for the Warriors. Like, he can do high screen, but he cannot pop. You know what I'm saying?
He's not.
There's a big trade off going there, and they don't really like guys. There's a lot of good stuff Jakob Poeltl does, like on like good teams. I just don't think that's a.
Could he be the new Bogut? But their best, the whole thing that this comes back to is unless you get a center that's like legitimately like Miles Turner level on defense, like your best lineups are going to have Draymond at the 5, and like that's why I think that you just try to trade for a wing or a guard because the bigs. I just don't really think that they help them as much as they would help a lot of teams. Like Looney's already pretty good if you really need a big to play. It's their bench that's the issue. So like that's where I think that this would be too much, and I wouldn't do that trade if I'm them, even though I'm not even high on those prospects. And then we have our last one, which I actually I don't know if the Pistons would do this, but it's Bojan Bogdanovic for Wiseman, Kuminga, and Patrick Baldwin.
Say that again. Bojan
Bogdanovic, who just signed a 2-year extension, by the way. I don't know if the Pistons are even trying to trade him. He's having like a career year there, despite their shitty record. For Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, and Patrick Baldwin. So basically, the Pistons just take a shot on a few prospects, and the Warriors get Bogdan Bogdanovic. And like,
yeah, I was just gonna say, you get Kuminga. Like I feel like that's pretty fair value because I just consider Wiseman a wash. You know, like that's just matching salary. Like Kuminga for and I don't think Patrick Baldwin's going to be anything. But yeah, Kuminga for 3 years. Bogdanovic, I like that. Yeah, sure, and I think he fits well with what the Warriors want to do. Like, gives them an extra guy, which I think that's a fine trade.
I think the thing with Bogdan is like great shooter, smart passer, can create a little bit of his own offense. Defensively, you would worry about it at his age. He's declined a lot on that end, but still, with the Warriors' defensive infrastructure, I wouldn't hate that for that. Like, I think that's, of all the players we discussed, I think it's Miles Turner or Bogdan Bogdanovic are the two best players that the Warriors got in any of these trades. And I think that they would help them a lot this year. Like, I think that moving forward, they would, because I wouldn't say they're like favorites or anything, but like it would just be such a bolster to their rotation to get any one of those guys, even Kelly Olynyk or PJ Washington, just to give them like a little bit more playable guys in the regular season, in the playoffs. I would do that trade for sure if I'm the Warriors, but for the idea that they would ever give up 3 prospects for a guy there, like they're so committed to this 2 timelines thing. I just don't think that
it goes back to what we said. Obviously they should, I guess is my thing. You know what I'm saying? Kuminga's the only guy who has real value. Like, I'm sorry, Warriors fans, if you believed anything they told you. I just move on. Like, Wiseman is salary filler. You're going to need to attach something else. Like, rip the Band-Aid off. But you fucked the pooch. That happens. Look, we fucked up the Romeo Langford and Aaron Nesmith. Guess what? We're fine because we fucking moved on. Like, that's the thing. You just identify that those guys are bad. Like we traded Desmond Bane for nothing. It sure would be great if the Celtics had Desmond Bane and Tyrese Maxey right now, but they don't. So sorry. Like,
and once again, the inherent flaw with the 2 timelines thing. This is what I want to end on. The inherent flaw with the 2 timelines thing is that you assumed that you were going to be fine post Steph Curry life. And that has always been the issue. You have never drafted a prospect who is close to the level of a player that Steph Curry is. And the reason why the Warriors have always been good is because of Steph Curry and Draymond Green. And you are merchants of these two. And you have built an entire media operation behind the idea that you were the reason that you were good. And I am glad, once again, to feel a little bit vindicated that we are here talking about trading away your precious baby boys who you just drafted, and they stink. So no disrespect to Kuminga and Wiseman. I hope they have great careers, but I do love to see fucking the Warriors brain trust get a little bit of their own medicine here. Also, I see the Celtics game is over. You guys won.
There's still 9 seconds left on my thing.
Disgusting.
They did get a dunk thing. So the rat Sam Presti loses to me again, defeated in Sam combat.
It's a horrible way to end this podcast.
He's been defeated. And I'm going to say the whole thing with my chest. Next thing. Actually, I feel less spicy about this now, having actually watched the Thunder this year. They're actually pretty good.
So tune in next episode.
Next week. Well, I'll have a day or two to craft my contrarian argument.
Let's go.
I know the Hogs love what a contrarian I am, so watch me. And by the way, I'm right a lot by being a contrarian. So let me just put that out there. So
yeah, just like when you argued on why the Rudy Gobert trade was good by being a contrarian.
That's right.
Well, we needed someone because everyone else hated the trade.
We needed someone. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't believe I let myself get tricked. But I will defend myself by saying though that I was getting a lot of shit from Calculator Rats for how hard I was going after Gobert.
It's true.
thing. So like, and I feel quite vindicated about that now. Like you can give it to
Same.
Giannis. You can give it to Giannis if you have a huge problem with Marcus Smart. I don't think that's smart, but it was not Rudy Gobert. It was never Rudy Gobert. He's not that guy, pal.
He was not him. He was not him. He is not him.
Gobert is not him. He might be a great individual defender, but if your teammates fucking hate you and don't want to play defense, sorry, you're not the defensive player. I'm like not even doing a joke. Like you really do need to have like
good vibes.
Yeah, you need to have good vibes, and he has awful vibes.
There you have it.
Bagat Boban.
We're taking away the 3 defensive player of the years, however many you want, because he has bad vibes.
He has bad vibes. That's how horrendous his vibes are. And he also killed millions worldwide in the COVID-19. So that's secondary to his bad vibes. Have you ever had anyone who's had vibes so bad they killed millions in the COVID-19? No. Rudy Gobert.
I'm cutting this and I'm posting it on TikTok without the parody satire.
Oh, God.
All right, that's a good place to end it. Rudy Gobert did COVID. Peace.
Yeah. Peace.